'05 Chevy Silverado. I'm going to do a quick video of this high pressure. This is your suction. Never really understood why they put the high and low. There's a little screen in here. Well, this was leaking. This is replaceable, but I tried to get it off. It just tore. So right now it has 0 freon in it. I've taken this screw loose, taking this cover panel off, and that screw down there at the bottom is the other screw. This is a new line for 38 bucks, I guess, off of eBay. So we got to get that in here. So hopefully I don't have to remove this, but if I do, we'll figure it out. This is one of those comical things. Basically, you got to get it up, sliding that up through that crack, and once you get it up, it'll come out. So when you go in, that's the way you're gonna have to get this party started in reverse. I have to go in right there and flip it back down in there. Okay, we got that tight. This is the only thing that's not together. Got that thing pushed back in its clip. Got the 2 screws back on and got that tight, and push the little paper thing back down where it's supposed to go. So the only thing I got to do, as you can see, that is not lined up. So either I need to bend this straight or twist this to fit. I'd kind of like to bend that away. I like to bend that one away from there. So let me get a socket and try to put it in there and bend that out. I just put that in the end there and pulled it, but that was so soft I barely even thing, and it straightened up. So that's pretty close now where I feel like I'm comfortable squeezing that together. There we go. Alright, when you're working with AC, always wear safety glasses. I got my safety glasses. I always wear gloves. There's no freon in here right now. For this step, I do not need any gloves. These are basically gauges. They're all open right now. So basically, they need to be closed. And take off this adapter. This is for the can to fill it now. The new old cans used to not have this, but all the new cans have this little top. This goes in to the top of your vacuum pump. Goes into the top of your vacuum pump. That's hilarious. Just hand tight. These just pop on. Blue goes to the low side. They're not interchangeable, so you really can't mess this up. See, that don't fit on there. This will only fit on the low side, and these say low and high, the caps that come on there. And you want to be mindful of these cords. Don't want to get them in your fan belt. That would be embarrassing. And from here, basically, you just turn the pump on. No, why? Oh, it's not plugged in. Okay, got everything turned on. You just turn everything. Need to get thing. So right now, this is sucking nothing because nothing is open. So when you turn this on, you'll hear and you want to vacuum both sides, high and low. So basically it's going to be sucking from both sides, and from here you just let this run for as long as you feel comfortable, and that will suck down to 0. And if it holds, that means you know everything's working, and then you can put the freon in. That'll be the next step. But right now we need to see. You can let this go 30 minutes. You don't even got to be out here. Just leave these open, let it vacuum all the air out of there. Okay, now these pumps are Harbor Freight, Pittsburgh pump. You can buy these. I think they're like 80 bucks. They might be more money now. This is 5 bucks. The high pressure hose was 40 bucks. This thing, I don't know, 75, 100 bucks back in the day. So, I mean, I got $200 worth of tools, but I have a bunch of cars. There's a few of them, so got plenty of cars to work on. So basically for 38 bucks and 3 cans of freon, which are 5 bucks a piece. So for 50 bucks, I'm gonna get this back in the business just because I know that was leaking. And basically that's how they get you, spend a bunch of money. The compressor, I put that on there. It hadn't blown yet, but it was making a lot of noise. I didn't do a video on that because I was doing it with my water pump. That was like 90 bucks. And these things in the front, these little radiators, they're not a lot of money anymore, 50 bucks. So, I mean, even if you did it yourself, I replaced that. First, when I was first having problems, and then I didn't put the oil in it because I didn't know about the oil. And you may be asking why I'm not putting no oil in here, because it hadn't leaked any out. I know there's 6 ounces, 8 ounces of oil in this system. So that's the talk on that. I keep all my extra things that can go to the recycle bin. Keep these extra pieces here. Just in case. This can all go for aluminum scrap. And I can put that cover back on. That's easy enough. Alright, that's down pretty far. Basically, if you turn both of these off 10 minutes or so, they should keep that zero pressure. It's going about 30 minutes. I had time to put my new fan on. Pretty simple. I had to get some help because I had to take this off and trying to hold this. I'm wearing my rubber glove trying to keep some of the liquid in there. So we lost a little bit of liquid, but we'll top that off. Yeah, this doesn't need to be on anymore. And both of these are off. So now you're going to have to hook that to a can. You're going to wear gloves. You're going to break the seal here and let a little gas out. I guess we need to give it 10 minutes. Make sure that that is going to stay visually right out there. Depends on where you look at it. Get a good visual for it. Just in front of that thing. Let's let it sit 10 minutes, see if it's got any leaks. All right, back to this. Got my gloves, got my safety glasses. We're gonna disconnect this and put on a freon can. At this point, I got the can on. I'm gonna open this can. You thread that on there and it presses the little tang on there. I'm gonna have to put 2.5 cans. It takes 32 ounces. And they're 12-ounce cans. So 24 plus 6 is 30. So that's pretty close. Not gonna mess with any of that. And we're gonna open this can, and only to pressurize it, we're gonna open both of these, but then we're gonna close this one back up high side. You don't wanna mess with the high side when you're filling, but only to pressurize the system right now with the truck off. We're going to open up the high and low in the can and let it all fill up with just vapor pressure. Okay, at this point, I have these closed, I have this open, and I want to bleed off the air that's in there. Now, that's all you got to do is let some of this air out. So basically, I let whatever air was in there, a tiny bit of freon, so you don't suck that air into your system. Now at this point, you can open both the high and low, and that's going to suck that in there. Engine's off. We're going to let it go into both sides. Vapor pressure from the can. The liquid's in the bottom of this can, vapor's on top. So that may not be enough pressure to trigger the switch. So we may have to trigger the switch. So that's basically, now you're going to close this. Close the high side. In fact, you can disconnect the high side, but we're not going to. But if you don't know what you're doing, just disconnect that now. Nothing would come out because this is closed. A little bit of ch would come out. So now we're going to turn it on, and hopefully the compressor will kick on, because that's what we have to have kick on next to start sucking this can empty. So I'm going to go turn the car on, and hopefully that'll come on with the fan, the AC, and it'll start sucking it out of the can. Okay, on mine, AC compressor, you jump across number 30 and 87. That's the fuse. That is now going, and that is sucking freon. And on the suction side, that needs to be about 30. So it will take all these cans, but once we get one can in there, we'll be able to disconnect that and it'll run on its own. But for a few minutes here, we will have to let that compressor suck this liquid in, and this can should be getting ice cold, and it is. It's ice cold down there, about right there, ice cold. So that's sucking that in there. That's what it's supposed to do. And in fact, I could probably cycle that thing on and off myself there by just unplugging it every once in a while to let it cycle. I'll put that back in there. Now it's going to work on its own. Basically, when it cycles, it'll do what it's supposed to do. It's short cycling now because there ain't enough freon in it, but that's basically what it's going to need to do. Might need to leave it on a little longer just so it won't be short cycling the freon. That's what happens when your car gets low on freon. It just starts short cycling. But basically it'll run longer if it's got freon going to it. And basically what it's doing right now is just short cycling because I've gotten one can of freon in there. It's running longer, not like before where it just click on, click off, click on. So I was forcing it to stay on with this. And basically, when it comes on and off, when it turns off, these equalize. And then when it runs, it pulls down suction on this side. And then that'll start to rise. So compressor turns off, equalizes, still off, kicks on. High side starts to rise, that's sucking down. And basically there's just not enough freon in there to keep it going. And what's really weird is when the high side's there and the low side there, how is that blocking the difference? Somehow that little plastic screen is blocking the difference between the high and low side. I don't understand it on this system, because most of the time the high pressure is on a totally separate line, but in this system it seems to work. There you go. It's when it's off. Actually, that's running. That's a good cycle. That's the high side going up, low side going low. That's what happens. And then when it gets to a certain amount, it triggers off. All right, so I'm going to disconnect that can. I'm going to turn this off. So now the can can be disconnected. This is off. These are still going to work because these gauges are on the line side, not on the valve side. So now I can disconnect this can. There ain't nothing in it. And put my gloves on, and then I'll switch the other can on. All right, second can's going in with liquid. That made all the difference in the noise. Still working, turned off. It's working so much better. Equalize. compressor kicks on, and the more freon, the longer it will take for that to climb to get to the high side. That takes longer to pull down. That turned off pretty quick. That was a pretty short cycle. Kind of seems like you get a short cycle then a long cycle. Might have to force the compressor on, keep it on. There you go. That was a pretty good long cycle. It's still running right now. Just kicked off. I'm gonna force it on a little bit longer. And again, I got that forced on. It's running, but what I'm concerned about is not going too high on the high side. See, that's pretty high. I don't want to let that keep running like that. It makes me nervous. I unplugged it. The problem is once you do that, the pressure goes back to the can. So let's let it do its own thing again. Maybe from here on out, I'll just let it do its own thing, not try to push that in there good. Put this back on, we don't need that anymore. So we'll just let it do its own thing from here, try to let it cycle on and off itself. Try to get the second can. I probably won't try to put the half can in tonight. Come back, let that freon settle out, and try to get another half can in there tomorrow. I'm going to let this run until it sucks in that whole can. Getting this going here, vapor phase, almost said liquid phase, is a slow process. Just takes time to get the can to suck that in there on its own, so there's really no hurry. Basically everything, as long as that's the only thing that's broke, it'll be good to go. If you got other stuff broke, then you're gonna have to fix something else. But I think this will be fixed. It was working just fine before that line went out. I could tell that it wasn't working, something was wrong. And then when I went to take this top off, that whole thing was stuck down in that high side piece, the little plastic piece. I don't know what happened to it, why it broke. But basically that low side low should get up to about 30. That's why it's going to need that half a can. This thing is just about empty. My second can, I am going to go ahead and just try to put that. I'm getting tired of messing with it. I've been out here a while trying to fill this thing. That low side low, it's staying on a long time, but that low side low needs to try to get that to 30 about. And that high side's looking good. It's coming down, ranging. So that's all looking real good. Most time people don't even have this gauge to see the high side, but you want to make sure that high ain't going crazy or going too low. There you go.